AI will likely be disbarred in Texas. Keep it simple. Just call me. My name is Jason Thompson. I'll give you a free review of your case with no obligation to hire me. My number is 210-900-0400. That's 210-900-0400, or my website, alawyerforus.com. That's alawyerforus.com.
94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star. San Antonio's Sports Center.
Well, it finally happened. The Spurs did drop one to the Thunder this year, falling last night in OKC, 119-98. Steph Castle did lead the way with 20 points in the loss for the Spurs. They return to action tomorrow night at home as they take on Giannis and the Bucks. In the NFL, the Cowboys have added to their defensive coordinator search. They requested to interview 33-year-old Eagles defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator Christian Parker.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That ball is history! A walk-off home run!
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day.
Great. Earlier this morning, I was listening to the morning huddle as I was driving around, and they were talking about the Mike Tomlin hire, and it took stepping down in Pittsburgh. And it took an interesting turn towards the end of their conversation and left me wondering a lot about Tomlin, how he's viewed, and now with Tomlin, Harbaugh, and all these other big-name coaches available, what are the thoughts around the league and inside the Cowboys' own building?
It's the Morning Huddle with A.J. Hoffman.
They were talking this morning. Tomlin was 36 when he won the Super Bowl.
That's wild.
36, man. And, for guys like us, he's been part of my sporting life, my career for a long time. A long time.
Art Rooney, who is now what they're looking for a head coach for the fourth time since 1969. Pretty good consistency. Let's just call it what it is.
And the pressure that comes with this gig.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's another level of this.
But Art Rooney said he's decided that Mike Tomlin informed me has decided to step down as our head coach. Obviously, I'm extremely grateful to Mike for all the hard work, dedication, and success we shared over the last 19 years. It's hard for me to put into words the level of respect and appreciation I have for Coach Tomlin. Guided the franchise to our 6th Super Bowl championship, made the playoffs 13 times, including winning the AFC North 8 times in his career. His track record of never having a losing season in 19 years will likely never be duplicated. My family and I, everyone connected to Steelers management, are forever grateful for the passion and dedication Mike Tomlin has devoted to Steelers football. That said, Mike Tomlin is out as the head coach. And again, I didn't think they were going to do it as a firing. This is
I do get the sense by that statement, I don't think they were going to fire him. I think he left. I think that because we know the history. I don't think I think they're happy he quit. I don't think the Rooneys are going to went home and cried, but I don't think they were going to fire him.
I think they said, what do we do here? Like, how do we make this where nobody looks bad?
So, but I don't think they were going to actually make the call, but I do think as they sat down, there was a mutual understanding that this is over. And I'm glad Tomlin got to leave on his own terms, but there'll forever be that question. We'll never know. I don't think we'll ever know anyway. Because I felt like Harbaugh, boy, he was fired. Harbaugh's fired.
It's funny, because I think when you're with an organization for 20 years, unless you're Jerry Jones, you develop this sense of responsibility to do what's best for the organization, even if it's not you. It's almost like sometimes you got to make the tough decision to put your dog down because you've had your dog for 15 years.
Yeah.
You had 15 great years with him, and right now his quality of life is not what it was, and he is going to be better off not part of your life anymore. I feel like when you are a guy like Mike Tomlin, at some point you look at the Steelers and say, you know what? this just isn't the best thing for either of us anymore.
Or you just don't want to put in the effort.
Yeah.
You know what it takes. I know what it's going to take to get there. I've done it many times. I don't want to do it anymore.
Now, there are guys like Jerry Jones whose dog's been run over. It's got guts squeezing out of the side of it.
I will give Jerry credit for one thing. And there might be an equal, but there'll never be a better next hire than Jimmy Johnson after Tom Landry. There will never. I mean, you talk about going from a Tomlin-esque 20 years, not making the playoffs. All the stuff that Landry was is exactly what Tomlin was to Pittsburgh. And then prior to that, it was Chuck Noll. Same thing. And the follow-up to Jimmy Johnson was incredible. Now, there's been some equals, and I just mentioned one. From Noll to Cowher. My God.
Yeah.
I mean, what a switch. So
from Cowher to Tomlin.
So as far as replacement coaches, Pittsburgh's batting 1,000, but as far as finding the next dude, because I always and will forever believe you don't want to be the guy to replace the guy. That's the old Al McGuire statement. Because when you come next after a legend, the shadow is so immensely long. And we're looking at it here in San Antonio. Mitch Johnson so far is measuring up to this massive shadow that Pop still, because he's functioning in it. He's still part of it.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson was not. I mean, he came in and everything changed. I mean, he changed, the wallpaper. The Pittsburgh's not going to change the wallpaper.
Right.
It's going to be the same stuff. That's a hard job to take. Now Pittsburgh's you're going to have to find a dude that is very comfortable in his own skin, because he's going to have to change some things, because the standard is the standard, as Tomlin always said. And the standard was the standard before I got here, and it'll maintain there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And I mean, the Ravens and Steelers situations right now are so similar and intertwined. I mean, remember Brian Billick was the coach before John Harbaugh. Brian Billick was a Super Bowl champion. He had done some great things there, like really turning that organization into a force.
He built it from what was the rubble of the Browns.
Right.
Yeah.
He took a team out of Cleveland and 4 years later had a Super Bowl ring. That's crazy. But John Harbaugh picked it up and went with it and did a great job. I mean, to find those guys again, though, it ain't easy.
Oh, man, I can't imagine. I mean, you'll find some very talented dudes. You will, but to mesh into what is something that is so long and so traditional, the expectations are you bend to us.
Yeah.
We don't bend to you.
Well, and that's part of what you have to give up is you have to, if you want to do things your way, go to the Arizona Cardinals.
And there's some coaches that are going to interview and go, you know what? There's a reason why you're interviewing me, and it's because you need what I bring. And if you're not going to let me bring that, I'm not going to work here.
But if you get the head coaching job in Arizona and your way doesn't work real fast, you're going to be gone real fast.
Absolutely.
In Pittsburgh, they're going to trust you to do things the way they've done things. And if you are capable of doing that, you could be there for 20 years.
Or you could die this slow, miserable death by 1,000 cuts of death, kind of killing. Now, over 4 years, you're just finally beaten into rubble and never to be heard from again because the system was bigger than you.
Yeah. And that's going to be the work. But I mean, I do think if you're a coach, those jobs are so much more appealing. The Steelers and Ravens, and the Steelers, normally when we have these conversations of what's the best job, what's the worst job, my default is who's my quarterback. Pittsburgh has no quarterback yet. I still think it's a really good job because I know you're if you get hired at Pittsburgh, you're going to have time to figure things out.
I think there's some security in that, but there's also the coaches that don't want to bow to that. I've been successful everywhere because I did it my way. And the reason you're interviewing me now is I did it my way. Not every coach. Some of these are position coaches like Shoddy who are just, finally get an opportunity. That being said, and I do think it's worth considering, wonder if Jerry's upset that he pulled the trigger a year too early.
On McCarthy?
On McCarthy. Because look at the availability of superior, high-end, franchise-maintaining and building coaches that are floating around as opposed to last year.
I mean, I could see that, but I think he's happy with Shoddy.
No, I would not suppose that he's not. But in your heart of hearts, you go, if I'd have waited a year.
But also, the truth, let's just say, call it what it is. If he had waited a year and he went and hired John Harbaugh right now, Brian Schottenheimer could still be his OC. Because it's not like any other team was knocking down Brian Schottenheimer's door.
So you think Jerry's sitting in his office going, damn, I'd have gotten the same output with anybody. I could last year. I kept McCarthy around and won this.
Man, I don't know. Mainly just because I don't know if Jerry would do what it took to get one of those bigger name coaches like a Harbaugh, like a Tomlin, Stefanski, in terms of the control that coach would inevitably want and roster and organizational. And on top of that, I don't know if he'd pay it. He's not big for paying over the top of the market head coaches. So I don't necessarily think Jerry is regretting not waiting. I think, like they said, he's happy with Shotty. And I think he's trying to find his own version of Mike Tomlin or Bill Cowher or even Chuck Noll with the Steelers. They were assistants that have never been a head coach, that were young up and comers. Nobody really knew who Mike Tomlin was before he became the Steelers head coach. He was a defensive coordinator that was gaining a little bit of steam at the time, but I wouldn't say he was a hot commodity by any stretch. As a matter of fact, it shocked the entire world when the Steelers took Mike Tomlin to replace Bill Cowher. Very interesting that they posed that question, but I don't see what it would take to get those coaches in the building, much like I couldn't see it with Bill Belichick a year ago. And just like this year, I don't see it with Brian Schottenheimer, even as a defensive coordinator. Brian Flores does not like a circus. He does not like nonsense. It's all nonsense in Dallas. It is rarely just about football and focusing in on the game. The more noise, the better. So, I don't know. That's my personal opinion on it. What say you? 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. But when it comes to a name like Bill Belichick, a name like Brian Flores, a name like John Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin, I just don't see the Cowboys in those sweepstakes because of what those coaches would require. Jerry did it once with Bill Belichick. He hadn't done anything close to that again. 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. A lot of people asking about the Root Pub next Monday. Look, I'm coming back Monday from Dallas. I may stop by the Root Pub that night, make an appearance. So if y'all want to see it, join the Blitz out at the Root Pub Monday, 2 to 6. Spurs game that day for MLK Day, 4 o'clock early game, then college football playoff game after that, and maybe an appearance by Pledger. So let's get out to the Root Pub on Monday night and see what it's all about, Enjoy some time. Tonight's steak night out at the Root Pub, so I am kind of getting a little bit hungry. Earlier in the chat, it was asked, don't see Tomlin coaching this year because of all the openings available, but I don't know what trade the Steelers would want for him. That from Fred Records. And look, I think the barometer's been set for that. Sean Payton added a 1 and a 3 for Payton and a 4 from the Saints to the Broncos. I think there's a reason the Steelers haven't let go of his rights as soon as he decided to step down. If he wants to go anywhere other than Pittsburgh, you got to pay for him. And I think that's the barometer that's been set. 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. What about the Cowboys defensive coordinator coaching search? I've already told you that I don't think Brian Flores is imminent for that job, but who would be and who could be the favorite? RJ Ochoa joined the Blitz a little bit earlier today to break down some of the candidates and how things could play out during this defensive coordinator coaching search. That's all coming up right here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson.
Thursday on the Morning Huddle, the San Antonio Spurs back in action, licking their wounds on their way home from OKC. How will they hold up against the Bucks?
There are 8 unemployed head coaches looking for jobs, and then a bunch of OCs and DCs looking too. We're going to look where they need to land. Got to get here early, though. The party starts at 6.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Morning 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Talk about stepping up. It's time to level up your game. Introducing the all-new ESPN app. All of ESPN, all in one place. Your home for the most live sports and the best championship moments.
The electricity is palpable.
Step up your game with no annual contract required. It's the ultimate fan experience. Level up for more on the ESPN app or at stream.espn.com. Sign up now.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and you can get up to a $5 cashback bonus on your first tank.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SUPPLY to get up to a $5 cashback bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SUPPLY to get up to a $5 cashback bonus on your first tank. That's code SUPPLY for up to a $5 cashback bonus.
Blue Star Tequila, the world's first and only night-harvested tequila. This is tequila that's natural, unfiltered best, made with 100% blue agave and totally additive-free. Smooth, vibrant, and full of character. It's tequila the way it was meant to be. So whether you're chasing championships or celebrating the moment, raise your glass to bold beginnings and taste the Blue Star difference.
Find Blue Star Tequila near you at Specs, Costco, and Alamo City Liquor.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything. But while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Calling the plays now. If he's not an insanely hot candidate in this cycle, I do believe he will be in the next coaching cycle. So if I'm Matt Burke, I may bide my time a little bit more just to see what other openings and opportunities I have. He did get to interview with Tennessee for their head coaching vacancy. So that's always going to be interesting to kind of gauge where things are and where they could end up.
Leaning too much into the physicality and they messing up their shot, and then that being concentrating their shot, they're missing at the basket. But with Wemby, he gets to the 6 feet away, 5 feet away, and they let them put the elbow down and basically push him like he's a sled in the NFL, like a tackling sled.
Sure.
And that should be a foul anywhere. And I don't know if it's like a leftover from the Shaq, where Shaq was 300 pounds. They let him get mugged every day in the NBA because he was so big, but they also let him but he's able to get his lick back. So there's got to be something that the coach can do. I don't know. We have the most mobile big man in history. So why don't we use his mobility to move him off screens or pick and rolls? I mean, why do we have to put him down there? Or and the coach should probably maybe get a technical about that kind of play? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it comes down to Mitch Johnson. Mitch Johnson's got to get in the ref's ears, bend them, get thrown out of a game if he has to because of it. He has to bring the egregious fouls to their attention and make it known so that they are called and once they're pointed out. And then if he has to, go into a post-game press conference and bring it up and call out the officials and take it out of his pocketbook, because being silent about it isn't going to get anything done. It's not going to change the outcome with certain refs. There are a lot of coaches.
I like to
There are a lot of coaches. Hold on, Drew. Drew, hold on. There's a lot of coaches in this league that make it a point before games to go to refs to point out what players do to either game fouls or take advantage and not get called for fouls. And usually when they do that, those players get called for fouls in that game because it's been brought to their attention of how they're gaming and making it look like it's not a foul. So Mitch has to do something about this and be a voice and be a head coach. And secondly, when it comes to what you were talking about with running pick and rolls, pick and pops, and that's on the head coach too. Aware and vigilant of what to look for during these ball games and how certain players play to game or take advantage of the rules. And I think that is something that I don't see this team doing enough of. And there isn't enough of Wemby complaining in post game about the physicality of the game. There isn't enough of Mitch Johnson maybe not openly criticizing the refs, but calling attention to certain aspects so that you can get eyes on it. And I think that's a big, big part of teams that get fouls, teams that don't. Part of it is also superstar preferential treatment. It's been a thing in the NBA since the Georgia Innings with pleasure right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Appreciate y'all joining me, however y'all may be joining me, whether that is on 94.1 FM, San Antonio Sports Star, sasportstar.com, via the Best Bail Bonds audio player, or on YouTube. At SA Sports Star on YouTube, you can comment along with the show. Lots of people already in the comment section getting there. Rudy Gonzalez saying, how can you call Wemby one of the biggest stars in the league when he's always hurt? Look, Anthony Davis was a big star. He's always hurt. It happens, man. Like, he is a star. He is generational. The NBA markets around Victor Wembanyama. That is a thing. Yes, injuries.
The Cowboys had a defense like that, but hey, man, I'm rooting for you, Texans. If y'all can get C.J. Stroud right, hey, man, y'all might got a chance to do something, man. I'm looking forward to this. What is it, Texas, Denver?
No, it's Texans Patriots this week.
Yeah, Texas Patriots. Yeah, that defense is nasty, and I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, me too. I look, the defense can carry them a long way. I just think they need C.J. Stroud to limit his turnovers and turnover-worthy plays like he had against Pittsburgh, and they can compete with anybody because that defense plays with a physical nature, and it wears on teams. And we have seen it all year long, whether it was Petrie and Azeez Al-Shaair and their hits in the Kansas City game or earlier this season. Like, we've seen it all year long. They just bring their lunch pail on that defensive side of the ball, and they go to work every single day. And I think the Cowboys need to get to that type of mentality on the defensive side of the ball with their next defensive coordinator hire.
All right, Pez, thanks for taking my call.
Of course, my man, and thank you for the Roger Staubach throwback jersey to start to pay off my bet last week. I actually have it. It is up front with Iris, so you can come pick that up anytime, my man.
All right, thanks, Pledge, man. Thanks for the job you do, man. We appreciate you, brother.
We appreciate you, Cowboy James. Always appreciate it. Thanks so much for calling in. here on Extra Innings with Pleasure. And look, the Cowboys defensive coordinator search is going to be very important with how this next season gets going for him, because it's the start of everything. You get the coordinator decides who stays and goes on his staff, who he wants to bring in with him for these things. And then they get together with the Joneses and with Will McClay and best decide in free agency and the draft what players will best fit this scheme. And it was kind of backwards last year because they brought in Eberflus. They didn't really do much. And then they brought in no players that fit Eberflus and what he wanted to do. They're like, we have man guys. Is that cool? No. Okay. You're still going to have man guys. As a matter of fact, we're going to draft more man guys and not going to pay attention to the linebacking position at all. Hope you can deal with that. By the way, right before the season starts, you're going to trade away your best pass rusher, knowing that your defense is not about simulated pressure. It's about getting pressure with our front four and our front four alone. So look, Eberflus was set up for failure. So I think the defensive coordinator, getting him in the building and getting on the same page with the owner, with the general manager, who is Jerry Jones, with Stephen Jones, with Will McClay. And we heard from Brian Schottenheimer, communication, being able to be a teacher and being able to communicate your vision is important. And I think that's going to be very important with the Joneses when it comes to free agency and what they do going into the draft and the types of players they're looking.
But it's certainly
right. Like they never do that. Like that. It simply is that simple sometimes. And I like that they're at least looking under that tree.
Well, you know, at the very least, talk to those guys and get a little intel. Get to know them, whether you make the hire or not, as we visit with RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com. RJ, long-winded question here, so follow me because it involves black helicopters, right? Could the next coordinator already be in the building? And I'm talking about Aaron Whitecotton. And here's why. You know, a couple of weeks ago on Hard Knocks in season, it was Whitecotton's speech to his group made the show. Last night's episode, when they were discussing the Flus hire, the Hard Knocks camera zeroed in right on Aaron as Schottenheimer was telling the rest of the staff that they had decided to move on. And the reason I say that, you know, those Hard Knocks cameras are catching a lot of conversations that will never make television, but there is a reason that producer and that director has now twice featured Aaron Whitecotton. Could he actually be the guy?
Well, I'll answer this question in two ways. One, I'm actually scheduled to speak with Michelle Navarrete, who was one of the directors on Hard Knocks, tomorrow. So I'll definitely run the conspiracy theory by her and get back to you. But my 2 cents are that I doubt it. And look, I'm this isn't fixed, right? Like today is the 2-year anniversary of when this all became this, when we entered into this horrible timeline. But that being said, they do things where they make incremental small progress. I would say last offseason was kind of like that until they got back to being who they are with the Micah stuff. And if they do all this, if they look under all these rocks and in these corners and they explore different opportunities and whatnot, just to go with someone who was in the building, this has nothing to do with Aaron Whitecotton. That would be a galactic failure. And that would merit rioting in the streets. I mean, there's simply nothing that can he's friends with Quinn Williams. Is that like the biggest thing he has going on? And look, I'm not trying to be dismissive of Aaron Whitecotton. You want to keep him on staff. You think he did a good job. You want him to have a role. Okay. But ultimately that should still be up to the discretion of the new defensive coordinator and Brian Schottenheimer. So if that happens, we're going to be pretty pissed off. I think it's fair to say.
RJ, I got to ask you this question because since Eberflus was fired, the name that came up was Brian Flores. And I'm reading articles and everybody that the Cowboys got to do whatever they can do to get Brian Flores in here as the DC. Well, I'm thinking, Brian Flores isn't interested in being a DC somewhere else. He wants to be a head coach. And then Adam Schefter tweets out today that he's actually with the Commanders today interviewing for their defensive coaching position. The
fiscal matter, whatever head coach job he ultimately does or does not get. But I think this is all just part of that game. I think this is all just part of man, dude, your name hasn't been trending on Twitter in 2 days because all these other guys are out there. We got to do something to just get your name in the news to keep you hot right now. Washington will be the team that falls on that sword. I represent a guy in that building. They're cool putting it out there. You guys jump on Zoom for 15 minutes. You talk about how embarrassing it is that Dan Quinn still can't get it right.
Well, and again, and there might be some to that, but as we go with conspiracy theories and back to the Cowboys, one, I don't think Brian Flores wants to deal with the three-ring circus that Jerry leads.
Sure.
Two, when I look at the long list of candidates right now, I think all of them are safe hires for Brian Schottenheimer. In other words, he's not seemingly interviewing anybody that could ultimately replace him as head coach. That's one thing that Jerry has typically done is he's had a DC with head coach.
Right now, we're done. You know what I mean? We worked for a chance to win it next year, or I get to go be a puppet. And I'm not even like the main position and anywhere that I can be a mouth. I don't care what your plan is, even if I disagree with it, but commit to it. Put all your energy, all of your resources, all of your time, your momentum behind one idea. And if it fails, that sucks, but we can square in our minds that you chased something and it just didn't work out, as opposed to trying to tread water 24/7.
That was RJ Ochoa. You can catch the full interview at sasportstar.com and our AA Best Bail Bonds audio vault. Apparently there were some issues with the stream. Guessing my head moved and stream caught too much of the Sixers game going on behind me. So my bad. But great stuff from RJ Ochoa as always. And look, it would behoove them to get ahead in this coaching situation, but a lot of this is going to be a domino effect when it comes to other coaches. Brian Flores' name gets brought up a lot. He's going to wait for a head coaching opportunity before taking a defensive coordinator opportunity. Doesn't matter who it's with. And then you got to wait on Harbaugh and other dominoes to fall before you can find out what's going to happen with some of the names you're looking at when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator vacancy and how quickly they can get that filled. So while I would think it would behoove them to move quick, you can only move as quick as the rest of the league is willing to move and accept jobs like that. And usually there's only one reason they're going to move quick. It is going to be a promotion that you wouldn't get elsewhere with a lot of money attached. Otherwise, I think this could take another week or two. 656 ESPN 656-3776. We'll close out the show and get you ready for the Texans and Patriots coming up on Sunday right here on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. And this is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Well, family, this new year is off to a great start. Everybody, how are those New Year's resolutions?
Dear, my resolution is to cut my damaged hair and just start over.
Dad, my resolution is to take better care of my skin. It's so dry. Ew.
Pops, my New Year's resolution is to work out at the gym. Go up and drink a gallon of bottled water every day.
My resolution is to take up skydiving.
Mom, you're 96.
Don't you make me get it.
Family, my resolution is to replace all our appliances that have been destroyed over the years by hard water.
Sounds like your family needs to start the new year off with installing a kinetic
gluten-free and packed with protein. Don't settle for ordinary on game day. Visit porkrinds.com to enter for a chance to win a 2027 big game travel package and a year's supply of rinds. Support a great cause and find your favorite rinds at porkrinds.com. Pork Rind Appreciation Day, the crunchiest day in football.
Everybody loves the season of giving, but now the season of paying for it is upon us. That not so wonderful time of the year when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, stare in horror at the balance, and resolve then and there to find new ways to save money. If you're among those Americans, why not start by cutting your wireless bill in half right now with Pure Talk's Saver Plan? It's easy. You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast nationwide 5G network for just $20 a month. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll save an additional 50%.
Update yesterday on the Blitz, and not great confidence that he will be able to clear concussion protocol in time for a Sunday afternoon game. And as soon as it happened, I was like, well, we're not going to have him next week if we advance. And that's kind of how I planned it. Now, Jaden Higgins has played very well for chunks of this season. Christian Kirk came out of nowhere last night. For a guy who was a part of this team for the longest time. It was a big trade in the offseason. Hasn't made that much of an effect on this team or the offense. Finally, huge performance on Monday night against the Steelers. And then you got Jaden Noel. And don't forget, Dalton Schultz will also be a big part of what they do, as will Woody Marks when it comes to the passing game. So I think they have enough weapons. They just don't have that go-to number one Pro Bowl wide receiver that Nico Collins is, that is going to command the coverage and respect. And that is the one thing that gives me pause with how this game could turn out on Sunday afternoon. But
and as you know, I've been practicing law here in San Antonio for more than 30 years, helping people and families injured in traffic collisions. So I'm often asked, what is the worst thing you can do after a traffic collision? And the answer is easy. That's trying to handle it on your own without an attorney. Insurance companies have spent billions perfecting their strategy of paying nothing or as little as they can get away with. It wouldn't be David versus Goliath. It would be David versus a million Goliaths. You have no chance. Using AI for help is even worse because AI routinely gives dangerously inaccurate legal advice. It is laughably bad on the law. So bad that a lawyer filing a document drafted by AI will likely be disbarred in Texas. Keep it simple. Just call me. My name is Jason